Okay, this is the first of two closeout videos for today or tomorrow, whatever it might be. It's just pretty much meant to wrap up some of the problems that are going to be on this week's test. We've seen every type of problem so far except for a couple word problems, and this is meant to allow you to kind of work through the worksheet and listen to the explanation of each of the four types that you're going to see at the end of the week. Just be sure to listen carefully and rewind or pause as necessary. You can go backwards, you can also pause, you just cannot go forward. There is no rush. This video might be longer, not this video, but both of them together might be longer than the time period you have in class, and because of this it might be a 2-day assignment, but that's fine. Whenever you finish you will get some extra credit points for that, so make sure you work to do it the right way. Just make sure you copy everything and don't try to take any shortcuts, otherwise you don't get anything extra. I'm trying to help you with your extra credit stuff, or help you with your grade here, so make sure you do everything you need to do, and then we go from there. Problem 1 has an equation in the problem. There are some problems that put a whole lot of words around a simple equation. What they do is they just want to intimidate you so you don't actually try the problem like what it is. You think it's a big tough problem, so you skip it, or you just kind of make a guess. Whenever this happens, whenever you have a lot of words around an equation, just relax, focus on what you know how to do, and the most important part is that you actually answer the question completely. Again, the word completely is there for a reason, because if you don't answer it completely, I obviously have to mark it wrong. So for example, this question here, the length of a rectangle is 5 times the width. An equation that models the perimeter of the rectangle is 2w plus 10w equals 48. What are the length and width of the rectangle? Again, notice we have a lot of words, but inside of this problem we have an equation, which means all we have to honestly do is take that equation out, who cares about the words, and solve it, because notice we want the length and width. Well, using our common sense here, if we solve this, w obviously stands for width, so we would be finding one, and then we'd have to just kind of go from there to find the other one. So here's what we do. This obviously has a w here and a w there, which could be combined together to make 12w equals 48, which when you divide by 12 you end up with w equals 4. It says the length is 5 times the width, which means that if you want the length, you should just do 5 times whatever the width is. So 5w is your length, which means that it's 5 times 4, which means that your length is 20. And you can even check this problem by plugging those things in. Remember that perimeter is all the sides added together. So if you did 4 plus 4 plus 20 plus 20, because there would be 4 sides of that, keeping in mind that you would have a 4 on both sides, 20 on both sides, notice that we get the answer of 48, which is what it says that the perimeter is. And so that's how you solve that. Okay? So again, we took the equation out, we solved for the w that was in there, then we went back to this and had to find the length. So it said the length is 5 times the width, so we simply multiplied the width by 5 to find the length. Another one like that, length of a rectangle is 4 times the width. An equation that models a perimeter is 2w plus 8w equals 50. Again, it wants the length and width, but around all these words, or inside of all these words, is another equation. So we simply take this equation out and solve it the way we've been taught. 2w and 8w make 10w. We now divide by 10, getting w equals 5. Again, that means that the width is 5. If we want the length, we have to kind of go back and reread it. It says the length is 4 times the width, so it'll be 4 times the width, which is 4 times 5, which again is 20. So with that being said, again, we can check that out. 5 plus 5 plus 20 plus 20 should equal up to 50 if it works out, and you notice that it does equal 50. There's our calculator work right there, which means that that is our answer. So again, this question just has a lot of words, but the fact that it has an actual equation in there to be solved means that it should be an easy enough question to do. You just have to be ready for that when you see it. Again, those are all questions you're going to see later, so just make sure you're kind of getting ready for that. You will be seeing these enough to where you'll get some practice on it anyway. Problem type number 2 has a formula in the problem, not an equation, but a formula. There's a difference between an equation and a formula. Equation is something you solve, a formula is something you plug things into. So other problems combine words with a formula. The difference between, again, is that you must take information from the problem and plug it in. Again, just read it and reread if necessary. to figure out what's going on, then follow what you know to do. So it says the dimensions of a rectangle are 8.5 meters by 7.3 meters. Find the perimeter by using the formula 2W plus 2L is equal to P. So again, this is my formula. And what you learned about perimeter is that it doesn't matter which one you plug into which, as long as you plug them into different spots. So we'll just call that my W and that my L. So if you want to do it, you would simply put 8.5 in for W plus 2 parentheses instead of L. We're going to do 7.3. And as you know, we've learned to do is just to type this in the way we've seen it. 2 parentheses 8.5 plus 2 parentheses 7.3, which gives us the answer 31.6. Going back to make sure we have it, it wants the perimeter, which it says that is P. So that is your answer of just 31.6. Again, the problem's not hard. They give me a formula. They give me 2 dimensions. Just take one dimension, plug it in for W. Take the other dimension, plug it in for L, the way we've learned, where we use parentheses. And as long as we type it in the correct way, I don't see any issue with that problem. The dimensions of a rectangle are 19.1 meters by 6.3 meters. Find the perimeter using the formula P equals 2W plus 2L. Once again, here is my formula. Here is a dimension which I can then put in for a W, so 19.1 goes here. Here's another dimension which I can put in for L, so 6.3. And again, all I have to do now is take my calculator and plug it in. So 2 parentheses 19.1 close plus 2 parentheses 6.3, which is 50.8. This equation would be tough if they didn't give us the formula, but again, they're giving us the formula just to make sure we have the sense to go back, take the 2 dimensions and plug it in. So again, the formula is going to be on the question on your test, so there's nothing really to worry about, but just remember to take those 2 numbers, plug them in for your dimensions, and then wrap up that question. Third type of problem. This is where they start getting a little tougher, but still not out of your reach. Is one where you have to translate it and solve it. This problem here gives you a total amount, and it wants you to set up an equation to figure out how many minutes make a total possible. Remember this problem that the total should be put on its own side. I would honestly just put it first, so I would put the total down, then an equal sign, and then add everything else up. Also, again, each and per means that a value gets multiplied because each means times and per means times based off of what we learned. So looking at this question here to kind of see what we're doing, write this down, and again, you'll get some time to kind of get used to it as we go. It says your cell phone bill averaged $104.15 per month based on a fixed fee of $53.75 and 21 cents per minute usage. Remember, that's 21 cents because 0.21. What is the number of minutes you average per month? Well, first off, it says my average is this, which means that that is my total. So the first thing I would write is 104.15 and equals. It says it's based on a fixed fee of this. So $53.75 is a fixed fee. That's only one part of your bill in that, so that does not need a variable. But notice that 21 cents per minute means, again, 21 cents is going to be multiplied per minute, so 0.21 M. So again, your total bill, 104.15, is a result of a fixed fee and 21 cents per minute, or 21 cents times the minutes. Once you do that, just solve it. If this is my M, the 53.75 has to go. We subtract it. Just be careful because, again, these are ugly numbers. So hopefully the work that we did with it earlier helps out. So plus negative 53.75, which is 50.4, equals 0.21 M. And then after that, what we do is we divide by 0.21. Even though it is a decimal, doesn't matter. Hopefully we've done enough with the decimals that you're used to it. 0.21, which gives me 240. And you can even check that by saying 21 cents per minute, so 0.21 times 240. Add on that fixed fee of 53.75, and it should make my total 104.15 as my part there. Again, that common sense part you can throw back in to check it and make sure everything is where it needs to be, but that's really what it's about. It's just making sure that after you do the work, you can check to make sure the answer makes sense. Another one, cell phone bill average is $85.94 per month based on a fixed fee of $35.99 and 27 cents per minute usage. Again, it wants the number of minutes per month. The bill average is $85.94, so that's our total. Then put your equals. Fixed fee of $35.99 means put $35.99 plus, because remember, fixed fee only happens once. 27 cents per minute means 0.27 M. And once again, just be careful. Take your time. Move the number $35.99 by subtracting it. And take your time on this, because all the decimals and all the big numbers can easily make you miswrite something. Which gives me $49.95 equals 0.27 M. Then we're going to divide by 0.27. And 49.95 divided by 0.27 is 185. And again, we can check that by taking the number of minutes, 185, times the cost per minute, which is 0.27, and adding the fixed fee of $35.99 to make sure that this number matches that number, which it does, and so we know we got it right. If it doesn't match, we'll just adjust your numbers. And again, on this one, I do want to see your work, but the most important thing is that you can actually find the number of minutes. So if this gets you at least within the range, and you just have to add some minutes or subtract some minutes, as long as you're not cheating and you can find that number, I am not going to have an issue with that. Just don't cheat and I'm okay. But again, that question there just wants to make sure you know how to actually find the number of minutes. And again, algebra should be your first option, but use your common sense to adjust whatever is there. Problem number 4 is one that wants to take two companies and wants us to find out when their prices are equal. This is important because something you could discuss later, but in that problem, the way you want to do it is to kind of set up each company algebraically by itself, and then use algebra to find the answer of what makes them equal. So what we would do is we would take company 1 and we would take company 2 and we would put an equal sign, because that's how you actually find out when the price of company 1 equals the price of company 2. That is our algebraic setup, and again, we would then use our training to find the answer of what we're looking for. So question A says a rental car agency charges $15 plus 9 cents per mile to rent a certain car. Another agency charges $27 plus 6 cents per mile to rent the same type of car. It wants to know how many miles will have to be driven for the car from the first agency to equal, again the key word there is equal, the cost from the car from the second agency. So what we'll do is we'll look at agency 1, which charges $15 plus 9 cents per mile. Again, here's your word per again, which means multiply, so it should be 0.09 M. Company number 2 charges $27 first plus 0.06 per mile, so 0.06 M. Again, company 1 is $15 plus 9 cents a mile. Company 2 is $27 plus 6 cents per mile, and you want them to be equal. So what we put is 15 plus 0.09 M equals 27 plus 0.06 M, and there is our equation. Once you get that far, everything else takes care of itself. Again, the only part you've got to make sure you do is over the course of this week, just make sure you learn how to read that to where you get your 15 plus 0.09 M, 27 plus 0.06 M, and remember it's 0.06 not 0.6. That's where a lot of people make mistakes. But outside of that, the training we have here is that we've got M's on both sides, so we move the smaller one, which is 0.06 M. That turns into 15 plus 0.03 M equals 27, and of course those two things go away. Now we move our 15 by subtracting it. 0.03 M is equal to 12. Then divide by 0.03. Again, make sure you do not lose that decimal, because that causes a lot of issues with people. 12 divided by 0.03 is 400. So what you're looking at is company 1 charges less to rent it, but more per mile. Company 2 charges a lot to rent it, but less per mile. And so you're looking at 400 miles is where both of these would be the same. So for example, if you were only going to drive 100 miles a day, you probably want to use the one that doesn't cost a lot to rent, because even though it costs a lot per mile, you're not getting up to 400. Whereas if you're driving 500 miles in a day, it's best to use this one, because once you hit 400 miles, you're only paying 6 cents per mile. Again, that's how you apply that idea, but again, that's something you would only need later. But for this test, that is a question you're going to have to be ready for. So again, just kind of make sure you look at that and understand where this is coming from and where it wants you to go. Again, B, rental car agency charges $14 plus 11 cents per mile for one car. Another one's $24 plus 6 cents per mile. So again, take company 1, which is 14 plus 0.11 M. Again, $14 plus 11 cents per mile, which means times M. Company 2 is $24 plus 0.06 M. Again, 24 plus that per mile, which is 0.6 times or 0.06 times M. And we want these two companies to equal each other. So again, we do 14 plus that equals 24 plus the other part. From there, move the smaller m, which in this case is 0.06. 14 comes down. Difference between 11 cents and 6 cents is 0.05 m. Again, to make sure you can do that, to see your number actually works. That therefore equals 24. From there, again, follow your training, move the number away from it. 0.05 m equals 10. Then we're going to divide by 0.05 to get the answer of 200 miles. So there you go. Like I said, that represents all the word problems you're going to have. Take that sheet of paper, hand it in to me to let me know that you finished it, and then we'll go from there. There should be a second video up online, but you'll need to get that sheet from me when you turn the first one. And again, you want to make sure you finish both of them so I can give you your extra points for doing the closeout activities. Other than that, good luck.